All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford, come right back at you from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there that listens to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, the great folks at Lakerholics.com, and of course our good friends at the Hoop Heads Podcast Network. Big shout out to Mike, who does so much for us right here at the Lakers Fast Break by providing all those wonderful snippet videos that he has from Headliner that he posts at our at Lakers Fast Break Twitter account and so much others because he's doing a great job this holiday season. And if you can support everything that he does at the Hoop Heads Podcast Network, it is sincerely appreciated. Well, when the major discussion before we go on the air is not what's troubling the Lakers or what's going on with the Lakers, it's actually, yes, my neighbor's having a camouflage Santa in their front yard and whether or not we're going to go ahead sooner or later put on Lakers Christmas hats. You know, the Lakers had themselves a great time because fool me once, shame on me. Or shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, then you get really some bad news from the Oklahoma City Thunder, but that was not the case as the Lakers, for the 3rd time this season, went up big against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and as we were texting and messaging each other back and forth, we were playing right into the Oklahoma City Thunder.
That's right where they wanted him.
Yes. But this time, even though they tried twice to let the Oklahoma City Thunder get back into the game, they did go ahead and keep a good distance on them, and they ultimately ended up winning pretty good over the Oklahoma City Thunder, 116-95. I guess you could say it was pretty comfortable right after the first quarter because it was 32-18 right off the bat. They set the tone early. They kept it on. They kept the pressure on.
29-point lead was the biggest of the series so far this year.
Yes, they were up by as much as 29.
And the season.
Yes, their biggest lead of the season so far. They shot extremely well from the outside. Again, that's 2 games in a row where they shot extremely well. 45%. They're actually above 50% for most of the evening. So it was great to see. They held Oklahoma City to only 22% shooting from the outside. They dominated pretty much everywhere else statistically. It was really a good thing to see. And they only had 1 more turnover than the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that was a really good thing as well, because after last night's debacle against an undermanned Memphis Grizzlies team, it was really a disappointing game.
Underrated Memphis Grizzlies team.
Very underrated.
All of the above.
Yes.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, after that happened, you know what? It's nice to see some type of palate cleanser for the Lakers and a nice victory indeed. But here today to talk about LeBron James' big game with 33 points. Also, Avery Bradley chipping in with 22. And, of course, Austin Reeves playing in Oklahoma. Got to go ahead and play great for the hometown folks with chipping in with 13. Plus everyone as well. Our 2 great guests indeed. These guys are also from Lakerholics.com. Be part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.com. I will start with a man who's been MIA, who's probably looking also as well out of his window for some camouflage Santas inflated outside his window. It is Jamie Sweet. Jamie, good to have you back, my friend.
Thanks, Gerald. It's good to be back. I live on the west side in LA, so there's not a lot of that around here.
Okay. I was just asking, just making sure.
There's a lot of mixed Hanukkah Christmas decor, which is pretty cool to see. People celebrating both holidays. So happy Hanukkah to those who are celebrating happy Hanukkah.
Absolutely.
And happy holidays to those who are celebrating Christmas.
Yes.
I know that
too.
Yeah, and Kwanzaa. But I know, one of the things that's been plaguing America for several years now is the war on Christmas, obviously. And so I hope that's going well for the home team, whoever that may be.
Well, it could also happen, the war, every time you go out to the retail stores and shopping, because that's still a war. You try.
I mean,
have you tried-
Santa's dressed. If Santa's dressed in camouflage, the war against Christmas must be real.
Yes. Well, have you tried?
Fox's Christmas tree got burned down.
It did.
Yeah.
Have you tried going to a Costco on the weekends during the holiday season? That is,
I don't go. I'm not a Costco. I'm not a Costco member.
I wouldn't do it under any circumstances, Gerald.
No, I don't.
you know what?
I don't.
I'll just go off the side. I'm gonna go over Costco here for a second on the side story. My mom just turned 88 years old last week, and I headed over to her house to see how she's doing. And she has this magazine that she says, Gerald, I need you to go ahead and return this real quick. It's addressed to the wrong person. They need to get it back. They need to get this magazine right away. I said, why? Because it's $100 a year for a subscription, Gerald. It's a very valuable magazine. I turned it over, and it's the Costco Connection. And I'm like, Mom, that comes free with a subscription. It's actually going to Costco is the actual benefit. Oh, I get it. Okay. All right. Is Costco really popular? Yes, Mom. Costco is. Costco is. But the Lakers tonight actually really did something that was very popular with their fans, and that was a big win. Their biggest margin of victory. You could say this was their most comfortable win of the year, Jamie. I mean, the shots from outside, they seem to be hitting for quite a stretch there consistently. They end up at 45% shooting overall. Yep. Really good sign. Defensively, they played okay, but they really didn't need to worry about it because all they had to do was let Oklahoma City for a while just shoot jumpers, and they were just going to miss and miss and miss.
Yeah, I mean, any game where you don't let the other team score 30 points in any quarter, I think is good enough defensively. I mean, OKC is a team that we probably ought to have beaten 3 times this season. And the fortunes of our team would be kind of vastly different, I think, if we had, because then we'd be looking at a 16-11 team, and you'd be like, all right, hey, this isn't so bad.
Not bad for LeBron missing all those games.
Exactly, but we didn't win those games, so here we are at 14-13, treading water like we have all season. And it seems as if the series against OKC has been what has, to this point, kind of defined this Laker team, because that first loss when we were up 26, you were just kind of like, how did you lose this? Like, what happened? And it was, but then at that time, you're like, oh, well, but it started the whole series of like, oh, well, this, that, or the other. This will change, or that'll change, or this will change, or that'll change. And none of it has changed. Not one thing. So I'm kind of curious to see how we come out on Sunday. I have given up the notion that any one game is what will define or will represent the turning of a corner. If
the series of games now. The series of games.
Right. If this team can rattle out I put it on my Fiverr that I posted a little late from the Boston. It was kind of a Boston Grizzlies game combined because I was a little bit curious. I was very excited after the Boston game. I was like, this is it. Like, we got our revenge game against Boston. We played pretty great 48 minutes of basketball. Like, everything about that game felt like, okay, like, this is definitely something you could build off of as a team. And then they come right out and lose to the no Ja Morant, no Dylan Brooks Memphis Grizzlies. And they let Steven Adams bully everybody around inside and just got, pounded into the paint like all the losses we ever had. And it was like, right, nope, never mind. This team is only consistent at being inconsistent. And that may be the ride we're all in it for. Luckily, the West is a mess this season, and we're still, at 500 in a pretty decent playoff position. I kind of wonder what's going to happen once some of these teams start to get healthy, though. They're not. It's hard for me to imagine all of Denver, Portland, Dallas, and the Clippers all having as poor a season as we and us as well, having as poor a season as we've had to have up to these points respectively. And so we have to rattle off 10 games in a row for me to say, okay, now they've learned whatever it is they needed to learn. They didn't learn in game 1 against OKC, game 2 against OKC, blowing a 3 overtime game against Boston, so on and so forth. We could rattle off all the disappointing losses for the season because there's about 13 of them. I think there's probably 3 losses that I would say, we played hard and we got outplayed. And that would be Milwaukee. Really, Milwaukee's the only one that comes to mind, but I'm sure if I look back at what losses were which, I'd come up with another one. But a lot of those losses that we have on that column, we did to ourselves. And I guess that's what I want to see them start to correct is stop beating yourself. And they haven't shown that they want to do that yet. So until they do, I'm just going to assume that we're going to stay about a 500 team. We've won 3. The longest winning streak we've had this season is 3 games, and the longest losing streak we've had this season is only 3 games. So, this team is just kind of bumping along at 500, and I kind of expect us to stay at about 500 unless they can correct either the points in the paint problem, the turnover problem, or the overly reliant on 3 superstars problem. And frankly, the easiest of those to correct would, in theory, be the turnover problem. But we got 2 guys who handle the ball a lot, who are good for at least 5 turnovers a game as a career average, which means the rest of the team has to play perfect basketball. So all of that is just asking a lot from this team of mostly over 33-year-olds, many on vet minimum contracts, who are looking to ride coattails at this point. I mean, let's be honest. You don't sign a veteran minimum contract with the Lakers thinking like, I'm going to be a featured player on this team. You know what I mean? You don't go into it with that mindset. You don't go into it with that mentality. So we have three guys who the majority of our salary cap is dedicated to. And if those 3 guys can't make it happen, it's not going to happen.
Well, this actually today, LeBron made it happen. I think that was the major difference, obviously, between what was before and what is now with the 3 games with LA and Oklahoma City. That's the big difference. Anthony Davis did sit out the game with a sore knee, and here today to talk about the game as well. And I'm going to ask him a question on Anthony Davis. Is Laker Tom the mastermind of Lakerholics.com? And Laker Tom, I wanted to ask you, AD did sit out with a sore knee today. It looks like from what I'm reading on Twitter with Mike Trudell, the official Lakers reporter, he indicated that it was just an issue where he got out of bed and his knee was sore. But do you think you could see something a little bit more with Anthony Davis on this?
The situation with Anthony Davis is really fascinating because, as Jamie said, we're only going to go as far as. Can you switch the pictures, Gerald? Thank you. We're only going to go as far as LeBron, AD, and Russ take us. And the games we win and that we do well, one of them really plays extremely well. Of the 3 of them, you'd have to say that I could conceive of us winning, championship and Russ not being a major factor. I can even conceive of us winning a championship and AD not being the dominating factor that he was in the 2020 championship. But I don't have any envisioning that I can make myself come to. Well, we don't win without LeBron playing great. And I think there's no question that we're starting to see some loss of athleticism and burst in explosiveness in LeBron. Doesn't mean he's not a top 5 player. But if AD all of a sudden is a top 15 player instead of a top 10 player, and LeBron is, it's hard to say that LeBron is still the best player in the world the way that KD and Giannis are playing, to be honest. I think he's a top 5 player and still may be the smartest and craftiest player and maybe the most clutch player when it comes down to a playoff series and how his basketball intelligence and everything else can carry us. So it was great to see LeBron because games like this are the best versions of LeBron James that we're going to get this year, and they're pretty impressive. He played an outstanding game. Russ didn't have a great game, and AD was missing. I thought that I owe Avery Bradley an apology and Frank Vogel, because I've been merciless on AB. And you know what he reminded me of tonight? He reminded me of the guy who was the big star when we had that huge weekend against the Clippers and the Bucks right before they pulled the plug on the entire season. I remember Avery hitting 6 out of 8 threes in that game and shooting confidently, and his defense, he held SGA to 11 points and 4 assists and 2 rebounds.
And got 4 steals.
So that was just terrific game by him.
But this is one game, okay,
yeah.
in a series of games. So let's put things in perspective.
Well, but you have to realize that for this team, when you've got all, like Jamie said, when you've got all your money tied up in these superstars, and then $10 million off to the side on
THT,
on a clutch client that probably isn't contributing right now.
Not worth 10 million. He's not.
Yeah, your other players are going to be inconsistent players, and like Jamie said, they're minimum salary players. So that means each one of them has major flaws that prevent people from paying them more than the minimum amount of money. Now, some of them may have turned down $4 million to play for $2 million for the Lakers, or, in Nunn's case, maybe $10 million to play for $5 million for the Lakers. And Monk definitely could have gotten a lot more money playing somewhere else. But what it comes down to is there's still players who are, I think, fortunately for us, in a couple of cases, unproven, but still very young and talented, like Monk and like Nunn, but also guys that are like Melo that could be great if they're in the right role on a championship caliber team. And right now, I'm real happy with Ellington, Monk, and Melo. I think that we've gotten 3 guys who've proven that they can shoot at a quality level, at a high volume, high percentage shooting that we haven't had in the past. And guys that I think, the guys we used to have, I used to say they're like 1 out of 3s. They're going to make 1 out of 3 threes, and they're going to have one good 3-point shooting game out of every 3. These 3 guys, I think, are 2 out of 3s and 3 out of 4s. They're guys who are going to generally have a pretty good game, and they're going to contribute. And that's what you need. You need that steady 9 points here, 12 points here, 8 points here. And you also need starters that don't just get 2 points. And tonight we did. Avery Bradley scored well. Dwight Howard had the best net rating on the entire team, even though he didn't score a lot of points. So this was an excellent win for the Lakers. And it's maybe, when you look at the situation of the last 3 games, there's one anomaly in there that I think is really important, and that is that I think that the Memphis Grizzlies are hugely underrated. And the defense that they played against us was outstanding. We did. We had moments in that game when we answered the bell, but there were moments when we didn't answer the bell, and we've had 2 out of 3 games where we've answered the bell pretty well the entire game. So, hopefully we're going to see, instead of 1 step forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 1 step back, maybe we'll start seeing 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then maybe 3 steps forward, 1 step back, and then maybe 10 steps forward, the big win streak that AD promised us, and hopefully he'll be healthy enough to play on Sunday. As for AD, I think so far, in my opinion, I think Russ is playing extremely well. Now, he hasn't played well the last 2 games, which gives me a little bit of concern, but he's restrained himself. He only took 8 shots tonight and only 1.
How many turnovers has he had the past 2 games?
5 turnovers.
11.
5 turnovers, and 2 of them were the drive you mad types that happen, one after another.
Where he basically just throws the ball.
But when you look at what Russ is doing, the problem that we have isn't Russell Westbrook.
No, I agree.
The problem we have is that LeBron James and Anthony Davis have not played up to the level that they're capable of, and that we must have them play if we're going to be a true, legitimate championship contender this year.
Well, I disagree with you on that. I think Russell Westbrook has been playing very well up until the past 2 games, and you do need Russell Westbrook and his $40+ million a year that he makes to play at a certain level along with LeBron and AD for them to be at a championship level. Because if you don't get the big three playing like the big three, then you have issues. But Jamie, I know you got your hand raised up in class here, so go ahead.
I have a question. I have a question for the group. Like,
I was giving the Sean Grice reminder with a hand up there. Go ahead, my friend.
Call me. Yes. What is the number of points that Russell Westbrook needs to generate? I'm not saying he needs to score, because tonight he had 9 assists. Mm-hmm. 7 assists, 9 rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds. One of the better rebounding guards in the game. And I would say that if Russell Westbrook generates 30 points a night.
I was going to put that number. 30 is a good number. Yes.
30
and not
points
just scoring.
Yeah. No.
I would rather see him around 14 points a game, 16 points a game.
8 or 9
Yes. 8 or 9 assists, 10 assists, something like that. Yes. That's what I'd rather see him do.
But that stat has to be counted. The positive stat has to be counted against what are his points off of turnovers that he is responsible for, which I don't know how you track that.
Yeah.
I don't know
if any less shots also as well.
You just read the box score and calculate it every night.
Well, I mean, you could look at it, but specifically his turnovers. You know what I mean? I don't mean the team turnovers. I mean because he is the primary ball handler on this team. Ron is the clutch guy. He's the go-to guy with. For the Lakers offense, the clutch offense starts around 17 seconds, evidently, because that's when we wait for LeBron to make a move. But, LeBron's going to be the guy who ought to be either creating the shot or taking the shot when you need the shot to go up. And Russ is going to be the lightning quick point of attack. This is all, of course, in theory, because this has been very uneven so far. So, that's what I think, too. I think if Russ is responsible for a solid 30 points a game, and that counts the points that you take away off of his turnovers, that the Lakers will be fine in terms of and as long as he can – it's astounding to me when Anthony Davis doesn't get at least 10 rebounds in a game. It always kind of blows me away. I'm like, how did that happen? And it happens a lot. I don't think he averaged 10 rebounds last season. He might have just averaged 10 just because he played so sparingly. But regardless, my point is that we really do need for those 3 guys to have turn back the clock kind of seasons, but collectively. Like
he is averaging 10 on the season.
80 is? Okay, yep. That's good. Thank you. I wasn't sure. I think
10.2, so he barely makes it.
Yeah, I mean, 10.2 solid. That's in the 10s. So, and what's the averaging point wise? Over a little over 20, right? 21, 20,
24.
24. Okay. Oh, well over 20. All right. So I hadn't looked at his season splits yet in a while, so I was curious.
Leads the league in dunks and leads the league in points in the paint,
which has to continue. I think that has to
continue. Shooting 18% from 3.
That's to me, that's almost inconsequential right now. You don't need him in the regular season to be a dominant 3-point
But his mid-range has been awful this year.
That's where I'm a little more concerned, because he really likes to function in the pinch post and the baseline 15 feet out and 20-foot jumpers, step backs. All of those shots are rhythm and timing shots, and he just hasn't had it yet this season. So maybe the knee has been bothering him for longer than we know. That would explain part of why his shooting is so poor, but also that is a concern, because that means that he's been, that he's playing hurt, and you don't want one of your 3 cornerstones when you only have 3 cornerstones to play hurt. So I feel like I when Tom said I can imagine the Lakers winning a championship with just LeBron playing at like a superstar level, I don't see that happening. I see them making.
Well, he's got to have one. He's got to have one of the other 2 come along.
At least one of the other 2. But like this team doesn't have a Kuz who's good for like 15 points a game, 14 points a game,
well,
which he would.
Monk's averaging that.
But then you also don't have
not on the season.
Not on the season. Melo either. Neither's averaging. I think they're both around 12. A little under 12 in Monk's case, if I remember right.
Monk is at 10 points a game, and Carmelo's a little bit higher.
Yeah, they're neither at 12, right? So this is my point: is that you don't have a KCP.
Carmelo's at 13.8.
Okay, so between them, they're averaging 24 points a game between two guys. But what I'm saying is this, is you don't have a Kuz who is good for 13, 14 points a game. You don't have a KCP who is good for 13 points, 14 points a
9
game.
points a game.
This season? Yes.
Last season.
Last season is an outlier. Before that, he was a solid 13.
2 seasons, he's been under 10 points a game.
For real? I don't believe it. For KCP?
Well,
anyway.
For KCP, yes, but not Kuzma.
Not Kuz.
No, KCP.
And the defense that he brought is unlike anything anybody on this team besides.
Well, you guys were talking about one, and I think the other one was talking about the other. So.
Maybe, yeah. My point is this, is that the Lakers don't have a wealth of guys after the first three that can score consistently. And they're not, any of them, great defenders. So all three of our guys need to contribute 30 to 40 points of positive points a game for us to have a shot at winning most basketball games, and that's during the regular season. So when the playoffs happen and the intensity is ramped up and everybody's scheme is going to be to stop those three guys and let the rest of the team fire at will, I foresee many issues. So this is my concern, is that like the regular season will be fine, right? Like we're going to make the playoffs barring an injury. We might not make it in the seeding we hope for. We might be a little bit, lower in the seeding or, not quite in the standings that we'd hope for, but we ought to make the playoffs. But when we do, and everybody basically clogs the paint and says, feel free to shoot threes. What is this team going to do? And that is, I think, the question that will define this entire season.
I think you're absolutely right. And the big question is, what will they do to change it to be different than what it is now? Because a big problem, everybody talks about how it, I hear this all the time. It doesn't really matter who starts. I hear that being used against every argument that I make, that we are wasting LeBron's career, the end of LeBron's career, by not putting in shooters surrounding him. That's the formula for success with LeBron James. Yeah. And we're putting guys out there where LeBron is the best shooter at 34% in that entire lineup, and nobody else is even shooting over 30%. Yeah. This is why you're absolutely right, Jamie, that the problem with this team in a certain sense is malpractice. Malpractice by the coaches, malpractice by some of the superstars, and a front office and a coaching staff that aren't in sync anymore, and a coach who doesn't know, seems to be torn between what Twitter's asking him to do and what he wants to do just instinctively. And I think it's going to get sorted out. But the thing that you have to realize is that there is something about when we won a championship in the split season in the bubble. It was like 2 seasons, really. You didn't even count what happened in the first half of that season. All of a sudden, everybody came back, and we were well rested, and LeBron was well rested, AD was well rested, and they shot lights out. Right. And the defense was terrific, and Frank made every right call that she could make, and it was like a dream come true. Well, the big reason that I always never liked the idea of the 2 centers and playing the 2 bigs during the regular season is it isn't that easy just to all of a sudden go and start playing small ball and dealing with all of the facts that other teams may be trying to go big ball against you. And you're going to get your butt kicked and rebounded out, scored in the paint, and so forth, and all of the things that go with that. That this is why you'd play that way the entire season, so that you can practice all of those things and learn what works and what doesn't work against every single team and every type of defense that they play, so that when you go into the playoffs, you don't have to reinvent the damn wheel. You can actually go out there and do the things that worked before, the things that you've saved up and you coached. That's the difference between a playoff series where you're able to make those adjustments and fine-tune your offense and your defense for your opponent. Every game that we go through, one game doesn't matter. 1 week, now that matters. 1 month of not being able to get into good habits, 2 months of not being able to get in good habits. Those are the things that doom a season.
Yep, I agree.
And we just have to, somebody's got to something's got to happen. I mean, I don't know what it can happen other than us probably just getting really hot, because Frank doesn't seem to be wanting to do anything to really help the situation as far as the starting lineup goes. Until Ariza comes back, we're still going to see this erratic mixing of lineups and a failure to embrace small ball basketball,
Once again, it's the Lakers on this cheery conversation. Do you want to remind you?
I was going to say, wait, we won, right?
Yeah.
No, it is cheery. It is cheery.
It is cheery, though.
116-95. Well, it seems like there's a lot of caution and trepidation. The Lakers are.
What do you expect?
Based on the performance to date. I mean, you can't.
The glass half full guy is just hanging on with dregs in the bottom of his glass,
Hey, look at it this way, though. The Lakers are on an upswing. They're now 14-13. They are in sixth place.
I'm tired of being disappointed.
Conference.
I want to be surprised now.
Well, now all they've got to do, the way that the landscape of the Western Conference is right now, they just got to stay above 500. If they stay above 500, they stay out of the plan seemingly now. Of course, things can obviously change, and they probably will, like you said, once the other teams get healthy. So we'll see what happens there. But the Lakers, can they be consistent? We'll find out if they can go ahead and win 2 in a row on Sunday against Orlando in a short one-game homestand before they go back out on the road. So we'll go ahead and wait and see. But Jamie and Laker Tom, before we head on out, I'll start with you, Jamie. Go ahead and let everybody know what everybody's doing there at Lakerholics.com. Your amazing articles on 5 things. I know a lot of good things are coming up this holiday season at Lakerholics.com.
I don't want to say it, so I'm not.
Maybe some camouflage Santas?
No. My catchphrase. I don't want to say it, so I'm not.
For Sunday, yes. Admiral Akbar could be back.
No. Please let him go away.
With this team, anything is.
I know.
He's on the record for there to be trap games. Let's be honest.
No, the record isn't the question. It's the pedigree of the team indicates.
This year
after every win is a trap game. The next game is obviously a loss. The way we're going.
Hence the Paul Abdul song.
That's how you end up. You end up 14-13 by winning about half your games.
That's right, exactly.
Losing about half your games.
Losing of the other half. So
if they're playing a G League team, it might be expected they might be losing the next time around.
This is what I'm saying, right? But then to annihilate the same team the next night, unless it's of course the Oklahoma City Thunder who get us twice and we only get them once. But anyway, definitely have a fiver coming.
One more game to go. They could play them. They play them in April. So
yeah, we could end up 500 against OKC, which will then make it the perfect. If we end up in the season around 500, the perfect what was it about the Thunder?
A little microcosm per se.
I mean, I will say this: we struggle with teams that play fast. Despite the fact that we have Westbrook, our speed pretty much ends there. We are not. LeBron doesn't want to run down the court a lot.
They published a stat that said that we were the slowest team.
We're the slowest team,
and we walked the ball up. It was like
we're number 2 in the league in pace.
We're number 2 in the team in pace, and that's the pace is a factor of Westbrook. The slow of a foot is a factor of our lack of defense. Because we're taking the ball out of the net.
Well, and the second big that we've started most of the games.
Oh boy! Well, DeAndre Jordan seems to be banished semi-permanently. Well, he did play today a little bit, but
had a nice dunk today on the pass.
I mean,
Dwight can't do that anymore. You see,
I was gonna say it's the one thing he can
Dwight
do.
And he didn't even get off the ground.
No, he couldn't get off the ground. Well, there was one where Russ hit him in the back of the head with the pass. What was like, is Dwight really going to catch that pass? I mean, I know people are supposed to have their hands ready, but oughtn't they to know it's coming? And then, the other, I forget. I think it was Bug throw him that lob. That lob was a little high for this age of Dwight. I mean,
I think teams have caught on that we throw the long lobs down the field. I mean, we haven't completed one of those in a long time.
No. But we also don't have the guys turning back the clock like they did for us a couple seasons back. Like Dwight,
I don't know. It's been AD who's been jumping for those, and he hasn't been getting them.
well, that's where the knee comes back. But yeah, we got some nice
Yeah.
things coming up on Lakerholics, and the conversation's been pretty vibrant these days. Obviously maybe not as positive and filled with glee as one would like, but that's, given the circumstances where we're at in terms of the blog. So come on by, check us out, throw some words out there, say howdy.
Absolutely, indeed. But you can do that today at Lakerholics.com. And Laker Tom, I know your article's there on Frank Vogel and his hot seat. And if it gets hotter, the options, they're not great. One thing I want to throw out at you, something I've threw out to you before, and that is if Frank Vogel gets the boot, who might come in place? I mean, obviously it would be David Fizdale. He would be the interim. He would not be probably named the full-time unless the Lakers really did a turnaround under his tenure.
God.
But what about Rajon Rondo? I've thrown that name out before. He seems to be doing plenty of time now coaching more than playing. That could be an idea I'm throwing out at you right now. Rajon
I don't
Rondo.
I think to start with, I think that the Lakers, first, they aren't going to do anything, just like Jeannie said, until Ariza's available to play and has a chance.
He is not the magic elixir. I don't know why you guys think he's a magic elixir.
I don't think he is the magic elixir, but I do think he's an important element because every game we're missing a 6'8" guy, man.
I understand that, but he's a 37-year-old 6'8" guy
so old.
that has not played consistently in 3 seasons. So you tell me.
And he's a power forward. He's not a small forward. So
exactly,
LeBron's got
those days are done for him at small
forward. But listen, the Lakers have said that, and they're not going to go. They're not going to do that, and they're not going to go out and hire. I mean, the only big name that's really available out there is D'Antoni, and they're not going to bring Mike D'Antoni back.
Oh, God.
So you're going to get an interim coach. You're going to get an interim coach.
Well, I know you get an interim coach. I'm just saying down the line, you see Rajon Rondo working a lot with the staff. He was very active on the sidelines today and yesterday, doing a lot of teaching, not playing, teaching. He could have just sat there and sulk. But you know what? Remember the last time he was here? He wasn't playing.
Gerald, it probably would be a better decision to hire somebody like Rondo than one of the retreads that normally seem to get hired in these situations.
But LT, let me finish with this, guys.
Okay.
Remember the last time Rondo was on the team, and that was the year before LeBron got there, or actually it was the first year LeBron got there, and he was really a malcontent. He was sitting on the side during timeouts. He really was unhappy when, regular season Rondo reared its ugly head. Right now, he could be doing the same exact thing. But what did I see him doing? He's engaged. He's talking to the youngsters. He's talking to the other players. He's showing them exactly what LeBron wants, what AD wants, what Russell's doing. He's communicating with the big three, but he's also communicating with the other 12 players, 11 players on the team. He is making himself very much a presence on the team that, to me, is actually the best regular season Rondo we can get right now.
Well, I think that was sort of the role that they envisioned for him, and he was obviously accepting of that he wasn't going to be in the regular rotation.
He wasn't a few seasons ago. He is now.
No, Gerald, I think it was a very insightful observation that you made, the connection between Rondo as potential future coach of the Lakers.
Or potential future coach, period.
Yeah. Well, no, I think everybody has seen that the guy is one of the, next to LeBron, maybe the smartest guy that's out there and playing today in the game. He does have a little bit of bad history, that some baggage, the situation with the Mavs that year and that whole thing, and the altercations that he's had occasions would be something that might.
Well, if Chauncey Billups can get a shot as coach, right?
Exactly.
That's true. No, but generally, I'm really lauding you for suggesting that might be something the Lakers would consider. I think Frank Vogel will last this year. I don't think that.
Well, that's obviously the best case scenario is getting Frank Vogel. I'm not trying to write the epitaph already of Frank Vogel. I'm just saying.
No, but I do think there's something that I do like about the idea. For example, I think, and I haven't heard any comments really strongly one way or the other about Steve Nash, but I thought that was an inspired hire. because smart point guards basically generally turn into good coaches. There's just something about having to play the position at the level that those guys played the position, that they understand how offenses and defenses work. But from an offensive standpoint, Rondo was a great defensive player too, as well as a great offensive player in his peak. So I think someone like him would be the perfect type of choice that the Lakers should be looking for down the road if they were to make a decision to not bring Frank Vogel back.
Magic
Hopefully,
Johnson.
though, they'll bring Frank back because he won the
stop
championship this year.
You stop that up there. Just because
Magic,
you're up on
two
top
words.
does not allow you to go ahead.
Two
and
words. Magic Johnson. They don't always the on-court greatness does not always translate.
I love Magic, but
I love Magic too.
Larry Bird
for him as a basketball player.
Larry Bird was a better coach than Magic was. I mean, he took the Pacers to the NBA Finals. Same as Jay Kidd in New Jersey.
But some guys, there's a different mentality to that,
I don't know that
Bird and Magic also never went through the second type of a career that Rondo has gone through.
I agree.
That's,
I think, the key.
They never had to adjust themselves to be role players.
Never once. No, they just said that's enough. I'm like,
if I can't be the alpha dog, I ain't playing.
Well, I mean, Magic was his circumstances were slightly extenuating.
Yeah.
And he did try the comeback at the power forward spot, but
I would say let's hold off on that.
Rondo would be great,
But
Gerald, I really want to say, you really illustrated two nightmare doomsday scenarios. When not only did you mention Fitzdale, but D'Antoni in the same sort of spiel. Where
we mentioned this yesterday as a possible return to what he did the previous season, because he didn't get a head coaching gig. That's why he left Brooklyn, because he was trying to court a head coaching gig.
Sure.
Didn't get it for whatever reason, but he did a good job as an offensive coordinator for Brooklyn. Sure. And we were, it was tossed around by Laker Tom, and I didn't think it was such a bad idea as an offensive coordinator for the Lakers, because that's kind of what they need right now.
Sure.
But they're not going to get it right now.
He ain't coming back. He ain't coming back to LA.
I don't think Fitzdale's an answer. He's already burned his
twice. Wouldn't it be fun?
No.
Listen, the one thing that every player that Mike D'Antoni has coached, it seems, has their best shooting year. And there's something about being empowered by the coach for shooters. We're not talking about Avery Bradley's and Alex Caruso. We're talking about the Buddy Hields and the guys who are going to hoist it up no matter what,
What I love is that you brought up two guys who are good defenders and not great shooters. And I'm like, right, but that's because they play both sides of the ball.
Well, no, but the point is that it does take certain types of – you can't put – how hard it is to put up 20 points per game every night in the NBA? To take 10 threes every night in the game in an NBA, how hard you have to work to get open for those shots and so forth. And you have to have the cojones to take them.
I'm not disagreeing.
And the thing about it is, if you have any hesitation that your coach might not like that shot, or the coach, your superstar might not like that shot, it's going to affect your shooting percentage.
He's a shooter's whisperer, to be sure.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
But it will forever remain that he only coaches basketball on one half of the court. And the problem is that, yes.
What a perfect marriage. What a perfect marriage, Vogel and D'Antoni.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but they wouldn't agree.
It may be Frankenstein, but
they wouldn't agree.
The concept is great.
No, I think you need somebody more like Byron Scott on the staff. Or
God.
I'm just kidding.
Please don't.
I still think we are the ghost of Byron Scott.
He's still alive. He can't be
every
a ghost.
time Frank Vogel decides he's going to go with two bigs and no shooters.
Do you look out the window to see if Byron's rattling chains outside? Whoa.
It could be. I mean,
Speaking of going off the chains, this show is going off the chains, but I do want to make one last note. Yes, Larry Bird did coach the only Indiana Pacers team to go to the finals. It's so funny because the next year he gave it over to Isaiah Thomas, and it started to go downhill from there.
He has the same birthday as I do.
So another great
my
point guard.
birthday and Larry Bird's birthday.
Oh, that's interesting. Another great point guard where on-court success did not translate into off-court success in any measurable fashion.
But let's hope Rajon Rondo, if he ever decides to get into coaching, that will change. Because again, I'm seeing these things on the sideline, and you could actually have Rajon Rondo, just normal Rajon Rondo of the past.
How about Jared Dudley
there.
as the Lakers coach?
No.
You know what? This conversation needs to end, I think.
Yeah, pull the plug.
Yes, we need to pull the plug. And you and V. Garcia will probably be rooting for that one, but
where is V? He should be here rooting. He should be here rooting at Jared Dudley.
Well, he's somewhere in San Antonio. Maybe you actually secretly rooting for the Spurs. No, I'm kidding. He can't stand the Spurs. That's bad news for him. That's bad news. But the Lakers did win 116-95. They kept the Oklahoma City Thunder at bay, tried twice to let them back in. Yes, so good defensive performance. Just they could not buy a shot. They absolutely could not buy a shot for much of the game. But the Lakers did shoot well from the outside. LeBron James with 33 points. Actually, a very good performance. Their biggest win of the year so far. So hopefully they can continue that trend against another NBA doormat, which Jamie's already trying to go ahead and send out feelers for a possible.
I don't want to say it.
Yes, Admiral Akbar game, but we'll see what happens. They are having a 1-game homestand against Orlando on Sunday. We'll be back for that game to wrap that up on Sunday for you before the team heads out back on another road trip. So we'll talk about that indeed. But if you have any questions for the guys, Lakerholics.com, at LakerTom on Twitter. But again, the best place to go for the greatest in conversations, Lakerholics.com, at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter, and of course, Lakers Fast Break at Yahoo.com. Well, once again, the Lakers, comfortable victory. I like it. Hopefully we can get more of them. Can they start a trend where they get consistently playing like this going forward? They can actually start getting a few games above 500. Again, the end of the year is on its way. It's still around the horizon. They still can go ahead and have a decent record before then, but it takes winning, and it takes winning now. And we'll see if that can continue on Sunday night. And we'll be here to go ahead and see if that happens, and we'll report on it after the game on Sunday against Orlando right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.